Hey there, and welcome to Better Days Start Today, the podcast where no matter what you've been through, every single day holds the power to change everything. I'm your host, Adrienne Crowley. I'm an author, coach, and your guide to creating a life you're genuinely excited to wake up to. Around here, we believe in taking intentional action, embracing the messy middle, and showing up for ourselves, starting right here, right now. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's get started, because your better days, they start today. Hey there, friends. Adrienne here, and welcome back to Better Days Start Today. I wanted to talk about the number one question that I have been asked by friends, by clients, family, so far going into this year. Started asking in probably late November into December, and these first couple of days into January, I've been getting the same question. And that question is, what's your adventure for 2025? So I love this question, because for me, selecting an adventure for the year, it's about the experience, but also the transformation that you go through to prepare for that experience. So I want to share a little bit about how to choose your own life-changing challenge and commit to the journey to make it happen. So when I talk about an adventure, for me, that is a Misogi. And a Misogi, it's more than just a goal. It's a challenge. And it is so bold and so uncertain and so far outside of your comfort zone that it forces you to grow stronger, more resilient, just a much more elevated version of yourself in order to get to this thing that you select. It's inspired by an ancient Japanese purification ritual. And Jesse Itzler, he's an entrepreneur. You can follow him on Instagram at Jesse Itzler. And he's also a co-founder of 29029 Everesting, which is an event that I love doing. He popularized that term through his coaching programs as a way to push your physical, your mental, your emotional boundaries. So you select a Misogi every year, and the main rule is that it has to be hard, and so hard that success isn't guaranteed. And this concept has been talked about since, and it's in the book, The Comfort Crisis, and theirs is it has to be hard and don't die as far as the criteria for it. But when Jesse talks about it, is really about stretching yourself so far past the person that you are now. So you are evolving into the person that you want to become. For me, I have done a life-changing event pretty much every year since I have been an adult, but I would say within the last 5 to 8 years or so, maybe closer to 5 to 10 years, I've really been focused on that being a physical challenge that stretches me. So I have done 29029 Everesting, where you climb the vertical equivalent of Mount Everest, so 29,029 feet in 36 hours. I've run Disney's Dopey Challenge, which is a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and a full marathon in 4 days. I have done 29029 back to back within a month to see if I could summit the vertical feet of Everest basically twice in a row within that month time frame, really just pushing my body, the endurance, the resilience of it. Can I make it happen? And I have also done 3 mountain marathons in 3 days. That was my 2024 Misogi. I did that at Lake Tahoe, which was an amazing experience as part of the 29029 trail experience. I have kayaked the Nepali coast in Hawaii. And I don't say this to say, oh, you have to go out and do this big grand adventure that requires all kinds of travel. But for me, I love traveling. And I feel like just travel alone without the physical aspect really pushes me in who I am, because you're in a new place. If it's somewhere where you don't speak the language, like I went to China to do the plank trail at Mount Huashan, which is considered the most dangerous trail in the world. Navigating a country where you don't speak the language, you've never been there, adds an element of stretching. You have to really get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because it's not like you're in the same place that you're in every day and it's easy. All this to say, my Misogis have looked different throughout the years. Like I said, sometimes they were just travel. And then over like the last decade, really the last 5 years, especially, I've pushed myself to make them very challenging physical events. The common thread with all of these challenges is really that they've changed me in some way. And it's not just because of the finish line or the fact of accomplishing whatever that task was, like, oh, I finished kayaking the Nepali coast. You have to maintain a level of commitment to the process to be able to do these things. I say this because if you're selecting a physical challenge and you're like, oh, there's no way I could do 3 marathons in 3 days, or there's no way I can fill in the blank. The thing is, from what I have learned from doing these, is you're not going to be able to stick to any training plan 100%, right? Hopefully you get 80%. But it's not about that. It's about consistently showing up for yourself, for the process, and being willing to adapt and overcome when the inevitable challenges are going to get in your way, which they will. And that's really what I want to drive home is when you select a challenge, when you select a Misogi that is so big and so challenging and so far outside of your comfort zone, it really comes down to the journey of who you have to become to do that thing. So when you select a Misogi, which I encourage you to do, don't just ask, well, what do I want to do? What do I want to experience? You got to get really still and ask, who do you want to become? Because this is a challenge that should push you to show up in ways and to really embody a different version of you to be able to get that done. Do you want to be somebody that's disciplined, resilient, adventurous, creative, more confident? Whatever it is that you're looking to become, your Misogi should push you to embody that person, that version of yourself. So if you want to feel physically strong and more capable, maybe you go the route that I have gone where it's a fitness challenge, a marathon, a mountain trek, something like that. If you want to be disciplined and focused, maybe it's writing a book. As somebody that has written a book, it is not easy to keep up the habit of putting your butt in the chair and writing every day, especially if you feel like you don't have anything to say or you've got some self-doubt going on. It's challenging. So you want to select something that really stretches you. The Misogi itself, when you pick the thing and then you want to reverse engineer it. So what do I need to do to get myself ready for that? Who do I need to become? You have to build habits. You have to really embody the mindset necessary. You have to get bold and be courageous to do the things that are super scary. The whole thing truly will stretch you. I know this because I've been doing it for years. But here's the truth. You have to make it a non-negotiable. If you don't schedule it, it will not happen. A Misogi requires preparation, commitment, intention, planning. If it is not on your calendar, it is not a priority. A week isn't going to miraculously appear somewhere for you to go on this wild, life-changing adventure suddenly. You have to put it on the calendar and tell yourself and the world, whoever is in your world, that this is happening. It's not optional. It is a promise to yourself, and you're going to keep it. And so if you're wondering, okay, I love this idea, I want to do it, start by asking yourself, who do you want to become? And then start thinking about the things that you can do where if you reverse engineer the process, that process pushes you to become that person. You want to break it into steps. What do you need to research? What type of training or preparation is required? Who do you need to support you? What does that look like? For me, this is a very fun process. I get excited about planning it and training for it and going through all of the steps as much as I actually get excited about the event itself, whatever the event is. I don't want you to wait until you feel like it's convenient. Like, oh, that sounds like a great idea, but I'm kind of busy right now. I'll think about it later. Or we just got into the new year. I've got a lot going on. When it slows down, I'll figure out what that is. Life is always going to be busy. Hard things are always going to be happening. Conditions will never be perfect for you to take on something so big and so bold that it will transform you. Commit to it anyways. I mentioned that everybody has been asking me about what my Misogi is for 2025. I'll start off by saying that this year I'm actually being a little bit slower and more intentional about planning everything than usual. I'm really taking this whole month, kind of up to the Lunar New Year, I believe it's January 29th, to plan and feel into the things that I want to do, who I want to become for this year. It's kind of a slow unfolding for me, which is a little bit different. Usually it's like a push to plan and figure it out. And this year, that push force energy, I'm not doing it. I'm really sinking in to what feels right and allowing myself the time and space to figure that out. All of that said, I am currently leaning towards hiking the Teton Crest Trail, and it will obviously be an unsupported hike. So that's carrying all of my gear, navigating the elements, point to point, done by me. The reason I'm leaning towards this is because it is very strenuous. It is extremely physical. It is going to require dedication to my fitness journey up until the point where I do that. and then really push me in the recovery journey after, which is super important. Part of the thing is I want to spend more time outside. I want to spend more time in the mountains. I live in Idaho now, and I've got amazing mountains around me to do some hiking and some training in. I really want to push myself and challenge myself more in the natural elements. I don't want it to be an event where, there's the aid stations and there's food and medical or whatever else that you might need. I want to push myself outside of a controlled environment to do something very physically challenging and not having an army of support there with me to do it. The Teton Crest Trail, that is 40-ish miles, depending on where you go in. You gain around 8,000 feet of elevation. The highest point, Paintbrush Divide, is at 10,700 feet. This typically takes anywhere from 3 to 5 days. Again, depends on where you go in. A lot of it has to do with the elements. Can really only hike this trail between July and September because of the snow. And even then, on both shoulder seasons, you can probably expect to still see some snow in the higher passes. The Tetons, there's a variety of weather conditions all in the same day. So there's a lot of that to contend with. I feel like that is going to be absolutely spectacular. One of my 29029 mountains that I have done was in Jackson at Snow King Resort. And I did some hiking on the Teton Crest Trail, just day hikes, kind of in and out. And it is truly one of the most beautiful, spectacular places I have ever seen. And since doing those hikes, all I can think about is when am I going to go back? I don't want to just go in, spend a day and come out and kind of go in at a different point. I want to be in those mountains for a few days and get to see parts of them that most people never see. So this is tough backcountry hiking, but it is going to be so worth it, I believe. And again, the road to get there will require me to put a lot of time on my feet, outside, in the hills, in the mountains before I even get there. As of now, that is really aligning with what I desire for myself for my year, how I want to spend my time. But again, I am giving myself some more time and space to really sink in and decide 100% what is my plan? What am I planning for this year to include the Misogi along with a bunch of other things? So if it changes, I will let you know. But as of right now, it is looking like it is going to be the Teton Crest Trail. I know that this particular trail, this particular Misogi, is going to test my adaptability, my endurance, my fitness, my mindset. And that excites me. Just thinking about that excites me. I want you to consider the fact that no one is going to hand you the life that you want. You have to create it. If you had an exceptionally difficult 2024, like so many people that I know, that doesn't mean that your 2025 has to unfold the same way. This year could be different if you decide that it's going to be different. So please consider planning a Misogi. It is not just an event, it is a declaration. It is saying I'm willing to show up for myself, to plan experiences that shape me, and to take intentional action to become the person I want to be. Think about it. What is your Misogi for 2025? What would stretch you? What would transform you? Then put it on the calendar, break it down, and start planning. Commit to it. I would love for you to share with me what you're choosing as your Misogi for 2025. What is your big life-changing event that you're going to do? Your big life-changing experience? Let me know. I want to hear all about it. I love hearing about people's Misogis. If this is something that you want coaching around, that you need help with, maybe things have been challenging and you haven't really been dreaming very much as far as what you want. You can't imagine what that might look like for you. You can't figure out what direction you want to take, if you want it to be physical or something else, and you're just kind of feeling stuck there and you want to talk through it. Definitely get on a coaching call with me and we can figure it out. First, we'll start off with daring to dream again, right? Figuring out what feels audacious and amazing to you, where you feel like you will be a new elevated version of yourself on the other side. And then we'll work it backwards, reverse engineer it, figure out how to bring that dream to life for you. If you need some help and some coaching around that, contact me. And if you are someone that feels like there's something holding you back, whether it's with your Misogi or something else, and you are just not sure what you're supposed to do next, you don't even know where to begin to start looking, I want you to take the quiz that I developed. It's a free quiz, and you'll go through the questions. At the end, you will get a personalized roadmap that tells you what mental blocks are holding you back, what is getting in your way, and then what to do next. It'll get you from that stuck into action. So take that quiz. The link will be in the show notes. It's adriancrowley.com/quiz. Thank you so much for listening. Please like this episode, follow it, share it with a friend. And remember, your better days, they start today. Thanks so much for spending time with me on Better Days Start Today. If you loved this episode, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the podcast, and leave a review. It helps more people find this space and start creating their better days too. And hey, don't forget to sign up for my newsletter at adriancrowley.com. You'll get exclusive tips, tools, and access to complimentary events designed to support you every step of the way. Until next time, remember, your better days, they start today.